Kaine's left eye twitched, not from nerves, but because the optic implant was dying again. Static crawled across his vision like digital ants, making the 5 galactic enforcers surrounding him shimmer like mirages. How poetic. His executioners looked as fake as their righteousness. "Look at this pathetic shit," Commander Vega said, her voice dripping with theatrical disgust. She gestured at Kaine's flickering augmentations with the kind of flourish reserved for bad dinner theater. "Remember when this guy could punch through titanium? Now he can barely keep his eye from falling out." The other enforcers chuckled, a sound like breaking glass in a cathedral. They stood in perfect formation around him on the observation deck of Station Omega-7, their pristine white armor gleaming under the artificial stars. Meanwhile, Kaine sat slumped against a viewport, his own gear held together with salvaged wire and spite. "The mighty Kaine Okafor," Lieutenant Reed sneered, scanning him with a handheld bioreader. "Neural connectivity at 12%. Muscle amplifiers offline. Jesus, even your pain suppressors are fried. This is just sad." Kaine tried to grin, but his facial servos glitched, turning it into something between a smile and a seizure. "Yeah, well, you know what they say about old soldiers. We just fade away." He paused, savoring the moment. "Some of us faster than others." The static in his vision pulsed, and for a split second, he saw them as they really were, not noble protectors of galactic peace, but butchers in designer armor. The memory fragments his damaged brain couldn't quite suppress showed him glimpses, sterile laboratories, screaming minds being carved from their bodies, consciousness torn apart and sold to the highest bidder. "Cut the philosophy lesson, traitor," Vega said, drawing her plasma rifle. The weapon hummed with enough energy to vaporize a small building. "You betrayed everything we stood for." "Did I though?" Kaine's voice cracked like old leather. "Or did I just refuse to pretend that what we were doing was noble?" The enforcers exchanged glances. They'd rehearsed this moment, probably practiced their lines in the mirror. Heroes confronting the fallen comrade. The narrative was clean, marketable. Reed leaned closer, his perfect teeth gleaming. "You leaked classified operations to terrorist cells. Sold out your own unit for credits. Terrorist cells." Kaine wheezed a laugh. "Is that what we're calling investigative journalists now? I guess when you're harvesting human consciousness and selling it to the highest bidder, anyone with a recording device looks like a terrorist." The temperature on the deck seemed to drop. Vega's grip tightened on her weapon. "Careful," she whispered. "Your brain damage is showing." But Kaine's broken implants were picking up data streams they shouldn't. Fragments of the enforcers' encrypted communications. His neural firewalls were so degraded that information leaked through like water through a cracked dam. He saw their real mission parameters, the kill order, the cover story they'd already prepared for his death. "Station Omega-7, he said conversationally, former research facility for Project Mindbridge. Officially decommissioned 3 years ago after a catastrophic system failure." He gestured weakly at the pristine walls around them. "Funny how catastrophic failures always happen right after whistleblowers start asking questions." Sergeant Hayes, the youngest of the squad, shifted uncomfortably. "Commander, maybe we should." "Should what?" Vega snapped. "Listen to the paranoid delusions of a washed-up soldier with scrambled circuits?" Kaine's eye twitched again, and this time the static cleared for a moment. He saw Hayes's face, young, uncertain, still capable of doubt. The kid hadn't been completely broken yet. "Hayes," Kaine said softly, "how many criminals have you helped capture this year? How many got proper trials? How many were ever seen again?" The young enforcer's face went pale beneath his helmet. "Don't listen to him," Reed warned. "He's been spreading this conspiracy garbage for months. Mental deterioration from failed augmentation surgery." "Is that the official story?" Kaine asked. "Mental deterioration? That's creative." Much better than, he found out we were lobotomizing civilians and selling their extracted personalities to corporate buyers. Vega raised her rifle. Enough. You want to know the really funny part? Kaine continued, his voice getting stronger despite his failing body. I used to believe in this. All of it. The mission, the cause, the greater good. I genuinely thought we were the heroes. His neural implant sparked, sending a jolt of pain through his skull. But the pain brought clarity, a moment of perfect, crystalline understanding. Then I started noticing things. Prisoners who disappeared before booking. Evidence that got corrupted. Families who stopped asking questions after friendly visits from internal affairs. He looked directly at Vega. Remember the Castellan colony incident? 1,700 people, including children, allegedly killed in a reactor explosion. Vega's finger moved to the trigger. Except there was no explosion, Kaine pressed on. Just a very profitable consciousness harvesting operation disguised as a disaster. 1,700 minds, extracted and sold to the highest bidders. Rich clients who wanted to experience life through younger, more vibrant perspectives. The ultimate drug, stolen souls. You're insane, Reed hissed, but his voice lacked conviction. Am I? Then why did you track me here? Why this specific location? Because you know I'm right. You know this station was where they perfected the extraction process. Where they learned to strip consciousness from unwilling subjects and package it for sale. The static in his vision was getting worse, but Kaine could see something else now, data streams flowing through the station's supposedly dead networks. His malfunctioning implants weren't just receiving information, they were transmitting it. The thing about broken technology, he said, almost conversationally, is that it doesn't always break the way you expect it to. Vega's eyes narrowed. What are you talking about? Kaine's grin was genuine this time, even if it looked like a glitch. My neural link. You assumed it was just failing randomly, right? Degrading hardware, corrupted software, the usual entropy of cheap military-grade implants. He tapped his temple, where the neural interface port flickered with erratic light. But see, that's not quite what happened. When I started investigating Project Mindbridge, I had to modify my implants to access restricted data. Bypass security protocols, decrypt classified files. The modifications worked, but they also made my hardware unstable. The enforcers were listening now, their weapons still raised but their attention focused. The funny thing about unstable neural interfaces is that they don't always follow normal communication protocols. Sometimes they broadcast on frequencies they shouldn't. Sometimes they create connections you didn't expect. Vega's bioscanner beeped frantically. He's transmitting something. His neural activity is spiking. Too late, Kaine said softly. It's been transmitting this entire conversation. Every word, every confession, every detail about Project Mindbridge and the Castellan Colony massacre. Reed's face went white. Transmitting to who? Remember those terrorist cells I supposedly contacted? Turns out, investigative journalists have very sophisticated equipment these days. Quantum encrypted data streams, real-time broadcasting to secure networks across 17 systems. The station's emergency lighting suddenly activated, bathing the deck in pulsing red. Somewhere in the distance, an alarm began to wail. You see, Kaine continued, his voice steady despite his failing body, I didn't come here to hide. I came here to get you on record. To get you to admit what you've done. And my broken implants have been broadcasting everything to people who know how to use it. Vega's rifle whined as she charged it to maximum power. You're bluffing. Am I? Check your long-range scanners. I think you'll find some very interested parties heading this way. Hayes was frantically working his scanner. Commander. I'm reading multiple incoming ships. Civilian vessels, but they're broadcasting press credentials and legal authority codes. The look on Vega's face was worth every moment of pain Kaine had endured over the past 6 months. Pure, crystalline panic. "You bastard," she whispered. "The thing about backup," Kaine said, settling back against the viewport as his vision finally began to fade, "is that sometimes it's not who you expect. Sometimes it's not soldiers or weapons or government black ops teams." His neural implant gave one final, brilliant flare before dying completely, taking most of his augmented systems with it. But he could still hear the growing rumble of approaching ships, the crackle of incoming transmission requests, the sound of truth finally arriving at the party. "Sometimes," he finished, his voice barely above a whisper, "backup is just people who give a damn about the truth." The emergency lighting pulsed once more, and in that red glow, Kaine saw the faces of his former comrades, no longer the confident executioners who had cornered him, but criminals realizing their time was up. Outside the viewport, the first of the press ships came into view, their cameras already recording, their broadcasters already transmitting to billions of viewers across the galaxy. Backup had arrived.